Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Simon Marciniak and you're watching Islamic Action TV. I'm a lawyer working in a central London law firm. I specialise in public law. I also hold a master's in public law from the University of London, and I'm particularly interested in human rights law, equalities law, and how it affects Muslims. I'm going to talk a bit about how UK law affects Muslims, particular areas where Muslims may not won't be aware that the law would affect them or affect them detrimentally. I'm thinking particularly of Islamic dress and the wearing of Islamic items, which in certain circumstances could be viewed by an employer or by the state or by a government department as not allowed, and which could potentially cause problems. There's a particularly well-known case recently where a judge in a criminal case ordered a defendant who was wearing a hijab to remove it. She refused, and the trial stopped. What happened then was that the girl was made to retire to a separate room with a police officer, so her identity could be established, and then they could return to the courtroom for the trial to proceed. So there we see an example of how a fundamental belief that you're entitled to wear the face veil come what may can come into conflict with UK laws and important UK laws. Now obviously not everybody will be a defendant in a criminal trial, but there are other situations where in your day-to-day life you may find that your way of manifesting your religion, whether it's wearing the face veil, whether it's wearing the hijab or the loose-fitting jilbab, whether it's wearing items such as the crescent necklace around your neck as a symbol of your religion, even rings. These are all items where you could inadvertently and innocently come into conflict with the law. There's been an important case in the European Court of Human Rights recently about France and its prohibition on the wearing of the niqab in public places. The claimant in that case was a French citizen who went to the Strasbourg Court, the European Court on Human Rights, to complain that her ability to lead a normal life was infringed. So what's known as the Article 8 right to private life was infringed because she was unable to wear the niqab in her day-to-day life. Now what the court decided in that case was that the French government could impose such a restriction on its citizens, so it could say that in the interest of what's known as living together or community cohesion, it could require Muslim women particularly to remove the face veil. Now that might appear surprising to some people who say, well, what harm can it do for me to wear the niqab in a private place, or albeit a public private place, if I'm not affecting anybody else? But unfortunately that's where we are with human rights law. The state is entitled to say that certain restrictions can be placed on Muslim dress. And there was a reaction in the UK press at the time. The UK government came out and said, well, that would never happen, our state is too varied and we're a multi-faith society, we're not going to impose that. But with the way things are, things could change in the future, and laws could be made in the future to restrict certain types of Islamic dress. So we have to be ready for that, prepared for the possibility that we could go down the French route. Although that doesn't affect the public area at the moment, there are ways in which, if you are, for example, a Muslim woman wanting to wear the niqab or any other item, if you're, for example, in a hospital or a teacher in a school, your employer or the hospital could lawfully say, no, we want you to remove that because we think that is a barrier to patient treatment. We think it's a barrier to educating the kids. It projects the wrong impression. It's a barrier to communication. And I think even though you may think that you're entitled to manifest your religion in any way you want, I think the law would come down on the side of the employer or the government department, or how it happened to be in that particular case. Even think as innocuous as a necklace, a crescent necklace. There was a case in the European Court of Human Rights recently, well, a couple of years ago, where BA prevented the Christian from wearing a cross round his neck, and there was a case alongside it where a hospital prevented a Christian from wearing a cross for similar reasons. In the BA case, the court decided there was no justification for it. Other employees were wearing turbans and other forms of religious dress which were allowed, so there's reason for it to restrict a cross. But in the case of the hospital, the court agreed that it could interfere with treatment, so it had to be removed. So all you need to do is apply that to the case of a necklace with a crescent moon, and to see that even wearing something as harmless, as innocuous as a necklace, even if it's a manifestation of your religion or your religious belief. The same goes for things like rings, bracelets, that sort of thing. An employer could require you to remove them and be lawful in doing that, even if it interfered with your firmly held religious beliefs. It's not a totally black and white area. So, for example, if you had these things on show in your job interview, for example, and you were offered the job on that basis, you could turn around and say, well, actually, you knew before you took me on that I manifest my religion in this particular way. Why are you doing this to me now? So it's not black and white. But what I'm trying to do is just make people aware of that you don't have an absolute right to dress and behave as you want, that there are restrictions that the law can impose to prevent you from behaving as you want in accordance with your religious beliefs.